Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Legendary Sports Podcast. I am your host, Jared Michelson.
I'm Antoine Beeks. What up? What up?
Oh, yeah. So, man, what a good week of fantasy, man. Went 4-1
Why
this
was
week.
why was it a
For,
good week, Jared?
four
Why was it
and
a good
one,
week, Jared?
4-1 this week. That has not happened all season. It's been 1-4, 1-4. I don't know which team ever is going to win, but for the first time in forever, man.
Okay, question to you. Consistency along the boards of who you picked?
Mm, yeah, ETN is someone I drafted in three of those. Was it three leagues? Three or four? Three leagues out of the five. And he has been the game changer. Like every week, giving me some numbers that I can be like, all right, man, thank you. Thank you for being someone who showed up. So that's one of the players who I've drafted consistently throughout multiple leagues and has given me work. Now, on the other side of that, there's Bijan Robinson. And I shouldn't say the other side, he's like halfway between, like he's been decent most weeks, but this last week irked me because he wasn't on the injury report. And I know the Atlanta Falcons are kind of getting hit by this. Like, wasn't on the injury report, no status of like any illness or any injury or status whatsoever for whether he's going to be able to play or not this week. And he ended up sitting out. So I don't know what
I know,
happened
I
there,
know,
but
I
that was
know
kind
that
of some
killed the
BS.
I know that killed a lot of fantasy owners this week. I know that killed a
I
lot of
want
sports bettors as well.
yeah.
But hey, if you was on the other side of that, which I was, I didn't care too much at all because it wasn't my player, right? The name of the game
Yeah.
is winning by any
Yeah.
means necessary. I didn't care. However, the game that I played Bijan in, I won handedly. He wouldn't have done anything to change that. Um,
I
but
had Bijan in a couple of leagues and I won in spite of him doing that. So suck it, Arthur Smith, for trying to screw me over. I still won. So
ah,
the coaching
hopefully there
decision
was a
do it
lot
for
of other
me.
fantasy owners like that won that way for you, won that way in spite of Bijan Robinson.
Yep. Yep.
But speaking of you going 4-0, your boy over here, second time this year, I went 6-0.
6 and
Six
0.
and
Holy
yeah.
cow.
6-0. One league we play 2 games a week. So
Really?
um yeah, man, this league that league is dangerous, man. It's a dangerous league, man. Like
That sounds like a
the
lot.
buy-in is crazy. The point scale is crazy. Like it's ridiculous. But nonetheless, I went 2-0 in that league. I actually had a league where somebody felt that their team was just so good and that they did not move anybody off their bench to
Really?
try and piece together some pieces from the waiver for the buy. They just left their team as is, and they had like two
Mhm.
people out, and they just rolled with it. And I was just like, "Thanks for giving me a game." Like
Yep.
I don't know what that's about, but they
I'll
said they
take it.
said in the chat, I like all of my guys. I'm not willing to move on from them unless it was a trade. And they were beating down people's door about trades, but nobody made a trade. So
Interesting. Well,
I don't know.
they can just ride through.
I don't know if I ever. I love to win too much to just give it up like that. Somebody had to go.
Yeah, somebody's got to move on. But some people get their egos, man. That's what'll kill you. Ego. Everybody let your egos go. That's what'll take you down in life.
So on a flip note, right? You needed me to lose one. You wanted, well, not one but two. You wanted me to lose both, right? To get so that you could kind of climb
Not
back in the
want.
mix.
I needed you. Like it was an actual need. I don't want anybody to lose, but I need you to lose for me to win. So
Hey, hey, so listen,
that's the name of the
I
game.
didn't
I
follow
need
I
you to
didn't
lose so
follow
I can
through
win.
on that one. I didn't follow through on that one. I
That's
didn't
okay.
follow through. I came up with a big win versus our versus the guy that is the number one overall seed at this moment um in our league. If I can um
Yeah,
in our
he
Big
had
Ten league.
Yeah,
He's
you're
the number
what?
one.
Are you 6-1 then?
I'm 5-2. He's 6-1
Okay,
now.
okay.
I handed him his first loss. So
And now we play each other in that league.
and,
It's rivalry week in our league. So the first week and the week 8 are the rival week. So whoever you played week 1, you play again this week. So
well, here it is. Here it is. And what happened? Let's just recap what happened in week 1 here.
I didn't start Pittman, and that's would have been a difference maker in our first week 1 matchup.
You did not start Pittman, but who would you have started him over? Yeah, you would have won that game.
Ridley. If I started him over Ridley, I would have.
You would have won, but shoulda, woulda, couldas, right? You get your
Yeah,
chance
that's the
back
name of the
right
game.
here.
Well, I was thinking about this the other day, where it's just like, man, even if the logic was there, where it's like I don't know what Anthony Richardson can do week 1. I know what Trevor Lawrence can do week 1, and I know Calvin Ridley, at one point was an elite football player. I don't know what that looked like outside of the year he was off, but I trust that combination versus a unproven rookie that I have no idea what. I have no idea. I have no history or basis to say he could get him 15 fantasy points.
So,
So
question to you: with there being no buys this week, not having to worry about anybody in your lineup, are you starting Michael Pittman?
yes, hey, I've been starting Michael Pittman for the last couple of weeks. He's been the reason I've been winning because he's
So
actually been useful.
with that being said, I told you earlier Gardner Minshew was the best bet for this team at this moment. You didn't want to hear that. How do you feel about that now?
I still feel the same.
You think Anthony Richardson should be starting if healthy?
Yeah, Anthony Richardson has been fine with Pittman. He's been just fine with Pittman.
No, Anthony Richardson ain't put up no 300 yards.
Oh, okay. Tons of quarterbacks haven't put up 300 yards. What are we talking about here?
The name of the game is like you got a wide receiver and Michael Pittman. Michael Pittman, what did he have for you last week?
Also,
22?
Michael Pittman did 75 of those yards on his own. The points that he got on a 75-yard catch and run that he had to break tackles for. It's not like Gardner Minshew did anything there. Like he did 90% of that himself.
Well, Anthony Richardson wouldn't have done 10% of it. He would have only did 2. He can't
I
keep
like
himself
Anthony
out of
Richardson.
harm's way.
I like Anthony Richardson because he gives them a dynamic that Gardner Minshew, although this week had 2 rushing touchdowns, normally would not. So on the flip side of that is Gardner Minshew knows how to slide because he's a professional, where Anthony Richardson does not. So that's the only reason Minshew's starting is because Anthony Richardson does not know how to go to the ground like a professional. He's going to be RG3 here in the next season if he doesn't be careful.
So you at 2-5 right now. If you get this one versus me this week,
I have a chance to climb back into the playoff run.
you got a chance. You got a chance, a big chance.
Mm-hmm.
But if you lose it and you move to 2-6, how do you feel about the remainder of the year?
I feel better because there's bye weeks coming up. I feel I had part of my bipocalypse in week 5, so or week 6, whatever it was. So I feel a lot better. But that doesn't mean anything because shoot, a person could go down, injury could happen, somebody can have a dud day. I have no idea. I can't predict the future, but I actually feel good about my team having Saquon back. Having him back has been actually a blessing, and I also having Tyrod Taylor in there has been a blessing because clearly he's better than Daniel Jones.
That's fair. I can agree with that.
The offense. He got a touchdown for Waller. Where's Daniel Jones doing that? Saquon was involved. Daniel Jones ain't doing any of that. What are we doing here?
Yeah, that's fair. So you kind of balled out with Darren Waller and Saquon last week, huh?
Yes.
And Michael Pittman. Michael Pittman had a good week too.
And mostly Lamar, though. Let's give this up to Lamar.
Oh, Lamar, yeah.
And
Lamar
you was hating on
ball.
Lamar. You was hating on Lamar. He can't throw. He can't do anything.
Hey, we'll see what
now?
he does this week. Hey, you better stop it before you be eating crow next week, playing me with Lamar.
Yeah, right.
And he's not putting up what did he put up last week? Let me go see what he put up last
Guess
week.
who he's playing this week, though? The Cardinals, where we live. Arizona.
He put up 42. Hey, I'm willing to bet he doesn't put up 42 in week 8.
He'll put up 35 against these Cardinals.
Bet he won't put up 35. Bet you he won't put up 35. I bet you he won't put up 35.
35, baby. This is a 6 point for passing touchdown league, by the way. 6 point for passing touchdown league, not 4.
Well, if he does, I hope he
I did talk to you. What's your beef with Lamar, man? What's your problem? You always hate.
He don't know how to throw the football, man. All he wants to do is run.
He does not want to run. He wants to be a pocket passer. He would rather be a pocket passer than a runner. What's wrong?
Are you sure about that?
What's wrong with 357-3? Tell me what's wrong with that. Tell me what's wrong with that. Against a very good Detroit defense. Hold on. Against a very good Detroit defense, right? Right? We can say that this year in 2023, 2024 season?
They're okay. They're okay. Top half.
Oh, why are you hating on Detroit? Why are you hating on
top half of the league? I'm not hating on Detroit. I'm just calling it what it is.
They're
the top half of the league defense.
Haterade.
Baltimore defense is better. The Eagles defense is better. The Browns.
Eagles defense lost to the Jets. Stop it.
The 49ers.
Eagles defense lost to the Jets. You need to stop that.
Jalen Hurts threw 3 interceptions. What do you mean?
Eagles defense lost to the Jets, man. What are we doing? Eagles defense didn't let Zach Wilson score.
That's 5. That's 5 defenses right there.
The Jets have a very good defense. They are elite. They are a top of the line defense for sure. The only reason they're in any game, I agree with you on the Jets being ahead. I actually will agree with you with the Eagles being ahead. I will overall agree, especially now they just picked up the guy from
Kevin Byard.
Yeah, there we go. So they are for sure. I agree with that.
So,
but I would put Detroit in the top 10 for this season, and to be a top 10 defense like that is crazy. Crazy. I mean, it wasn't even a game. Their offense did whatever they want. They did whatever they wanted.
Yeah, they did. They did.
It wasn't even good. Everybody was wide open. So, point being, respect to Lamar. Next.
No. We'll see what he does this week. We'll see what he does this week.
Who are you playing in the MSP league?
You said what happened in the MSP league?
Who are you playing next?
I am playing, drum roll, please. I am playing Little Yads.
Oh, shoot. She's on a losing streak. Oh, man. Sorry, hon. I love you. I love you, honey.
And the 6-1 money boys come into town.
Hey, I moved up to 4-3 now. I was struggling at 1-3, but I'm rallying now. I am in it.
You struggle at 1-3. Now you're back up to 4-3.
Yep, 3 straight wins. I'm rolling. I'm telling you, my team found itself. Thank you, ETN. But my team found itself.
Man, listen. You are the third. You're third in points scored.
Mm-hmm.
You're third in points scored. Your record doesn't say it. You feel like you should be better off.
Oh yeah, I do. I had some problem with my team was I had the boom weeks, but I had too many down weeks, right? So my numbers look higher because my boom weeks were up. So I'm one of those teams that's do I deserve to maybe be 4-3? Probably, because my boom weeks are what gave me all those points, where my low weeks were just what are you even doing here? Why are you even trotting out in the field? Just give up.
Yeah.
So that's why. So I'll take the. I mean, I would say I could probably be 5-2, but I'm in the chase where I'm happy. So and I feel like I can take on some of the top tier teams now. So I'm good. That's the thing you gotta be confident. Do you feel comfortable challenging the top tier people? And I do. My Big Ten league, I feel a little bit better now. But you're one of those people who I gotta test those waters against this week. So
hey, test the waters. Here it is. You know what? here it is where I stand, right? Like I mean, in the MSP league, I hope that I go ahead and sorry, Yadi, I love you too. You know, like you're great. She's a great person. But I hope I
Name
blow
of
the
the
doors
game.
off that team. I hope we blow the doors off, right? And not only that, I want us to move to 7-1, um, just because the name of the game is winning. But also, I want us to stack some wins and get a little bit far apart so that I know it's coming, right? Like no one goes, 13 or 12-1 or 13-1,
Mhm.
in fantasy. And if they do, they definitely don't win the championship. So
Fair.
I don't wanna lose this week, but I do feel like in a couple weeks or so that someone's gonna have my number. I just don't want it to be this week.
Oh, we'll see. We'll see. Well, I don't know if I play you again, but I would be happy trying to give you the business over here. But we'll see. I don't know if we play each other again. I don't think we do. Let's talk a little Monday Night Football, though, huh? Let's get into that. Talk about the Vikings versus San Francisco 49ers. And speaking of yards and losing, sorry, hon. Sorry that Jordan Addison came in with 31 points and with a comeback victory over here. The player she played against had Addison and Alexander Madison. And luckily, the combination of like 40 some points or 39 points, whatever it came out to be, was enough to get her, the gentleman, a 3-point win. So shout out to Miggs for the comeback victory. So,
Man, that's tough. Hey, just quick side note: we do play each other again week 11.
oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, we play
Oh,
each
that's
other
my,
again week 11.
that's one of my, yeah, that's my bad week, but that's fine. I'll take you on that one. I'm in. I'm in.
Yeah.
I think I lose Kamara that week. Yep, that sucks. Kamara and Bijan. But that's the name of the game.
And Kyle Pitts.
I don't really care about that.
Yeah.
I don't really notice that he's there or not. It makes no
Yeah,
difference.
yeah, yeah. He's robbing the league. He's
I like
robbing the
Kyle
league.
Pitts, and don't get me wrong. When we hate and do that stuff, it's just from fantasy standpoint. But as far as a player in real life, he's a very talented player. But he's not giving me fantasy numbers that I'm worried about missing. So, if you don't like what I said, Pitts, talk to Desmond and tell him to get you the ball more.
Hey, talk to somebody. Good
Yep.
night. But back to these Vikings, man. Vikings pull out a win 22-17. Um, that boy Kirk Cousins was you like that Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, yeah.
35 for 378 and 2 TDs. Um, Jordan Addison was 7 catches for 123, and he had both the TDs.
Yeah. And one of
Not
them
to
was
be out.
crazy, man. He ripped the ball away from the dude. Oh my
Yeah,
goodness. That was
he had
savage.
a sometimes in fantasy football, it just is what it is that you get these things that just go against you. Like you just and that guy who pulled out a 3-point win, I have to say on the other side of the ball, we definitely thought that Christian McCaffrey would not be playing in this game or
Yep.
be on a limited snap count. Christian McCaffrey played the whole game. He only carried the ball 15 times. They were down and they were trying to come back and
Mm-hmm.
whatnot. So he didn't carry it as much, 15 for 45 yards. Not Christian McCaffrey like numbers. But when
Yep.
we talk about, excuse me, when we talk about the things that go on in this in fantasy football, um, I started the Detroit Lions defense, which gave me -2 points because they just got roughshod all over. I started the kicker for Detroit. He gave me 0. So with that, between those two, I was -2 points. With the chance for someone to beat me, I was only up 3, and they started Jordan Mason, the backup running back for San Francisco 49ers, thinking that Christian McCaffrey wouldn't get as much work, and he scored 0, and I snuck out of there with a 3-point victory. So
Mm.
I know what that's all about, man. Um, how did you feel about Brock Purdy in this game? 21 for 272, 1 touchdown and 2 interceptions.
Uh, his efficiency wasn't terrible. He had some unfortunate circumstance with the 2 interceptions, and they were pretty ugly. I don't know why he threw them into the traffic that he did, but um, he he was able to at least still use his weapons to a degree. He's able to find McCaffrey, get him some space to get a what was it, like a
31-yard TD?
yeah, that play there. George Kittle was involved 5 for 78, which was cool, to see for tight end day and everything like that. Ayuk 5 for 57, but they looked off. They looked off without weirdly enough, they looked off without having Debo. They looked like they were he looked like a rookie, like this was like a rookie growing pain, which was interesting, making throws that didn't seem like him, but maybe the Vikings defense figured it out. Maybe they finally start clicking. Maybe the Vikings are a little bit better than we thought they were. I guess I'm not really sure about that, but
So do you start?
Brock Purdy, I think, will rebound. I think these last 2 games, I think they're getting a little bit figured out. So I think Shanahan will have to do a little more play design and redesign of some of the offensive plays, but I think they'll be fine. I think they'll be bounced back and everything like that. So I'm not too worried overall.
So are you starting Brock Purdy? Or do you start Brock Purdy?
Let me look at the upcoming schedule for the 49ers here, and I will tell you if I will start him with
They got
confidence.
the Bengals, the Jags, the Buccaneers, the Seahawks, and the Eagles.
Yeah, I'd start him against the Bengals. I'm not scared of the Bengals defense at all. So I have no fears against the Bengals D. So I would say yes, absolutely. Even if it's on the road, go for it, man. Throw him in there. Brock Purdy is still talented. He's still got great weapons. Like that hasn't changed. Even in a bad game, he still threw for 272 yards. And still relatively efficient. I mean, 21 of 30. So.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what happens this week with the trade deadline coming up. Where do you feel like some of these top guys, that could be traded, like a Devontae Adams or a Mike Evans, Calvin Ridley, some of these guys that hold a lot of value on a team that aren't really doing much. How do you feel about some of these guys being moved? Where do you think they would be moved to? And how do you think that changes the fantasy world?
For like Calvin Ridley and those guys?
Yeah, some of these guys that's gonna be moved or looking to be moved. I.e.,
You think they'll trade
Devontae
Calvin Ridley
Adams,
after you?
Calvin Ridley.
I don't know if they'll move Ridley. I guess I'm not sure what the thought behind that would be after you just brought him in on a pretty cheap contract too. So there's not a lot of like reason to move him because it's like try before you buy. Really, he's not getting paid that much. But for Devontae Adams, even if Saquon said he doesn't want to be traded, but I think it would be better for his career if he did. Anywho, go back to Devontae. I don't know where he'd have to go to a contender, and unless he's going to go to the Chiefs or something, I don't know why he'd move. Unless you're going to go to a true contender, why? And I don't know how much control of that he would have, right? So I'd love to see him move, and I think that would up his fantasy value to go somewhere else with a more aggressive quarterback, but not every place has that. So if he goes to Atlanta, I'm not even going to put him in my lineup, or if I do, it's going to be as a wide receiver 3 at best.
So with that being said, how do you feel about guys like Saquon, like DJ Moore, like Mike Evans, like Mike Thomas, Chris Olave, Calvin Ridley, Amari Cooper, guys that have this upside that we thought was going to be trajecting up at this moment, and they're not, and it's not panning out. Deshaun Watson just got his money and he's stealing from the Browns. Derek Carr is You
If
know,
you could, so for me, if I was on a team and I could trade Devontae Adams and maybe get, I don't know if you'll ever get Mike Evans out of it, but maybe you could pair Mike Evans and Alexander Madison and get them out of it off of name value. I would do that. Um, if I could get,
and this is fantasy we're talking here. We're talking where would you go in fantasy with this? Not league.
that's what I'm saying. Yep, that's what I'm saying. So if I could get like a Mike Evans and Madison out of there, get 2-for-1 where I'm going to get points and value and have some depth, I would rather do that. I'd rather have it where I have a decent wide receiver in Mike Evans who's actually getting numbers, and then and some depth at RB versus someone who's barely giving me any activity at all. Same with if I could, because I would rather have Mike Evans at this point than Devontae. I don't want Devontae with what's been going on over there, and he doesn't even want to be there because he's not getting any of the action or love like he should be, right? If I was going to go Calvin Ridley, you're not going to get much value out of Ridley at this point, so you kind of just stuck holding the bag and just kind of seeing what happens. Even though the bag's empty, you're kind of stuck there because I can't trade Ridley for jack squat. I have him, right? I'm not going to get any value out of him. I'm going to get rocks. So I might as well just hold them and see what happens.
I'll give you a pack of bubble gum this way if you want to send them over.
Oh yeah, I mean, a stick of bubblegum just give me some enjoyment. If I get anything out of it right there, I'd have more. Even if it was fruit straight gum, I'd have more enjoyment for that 10 seconds that I have had all season from Ridley.
That's
but
funny.
it's those situations where you just kind of have to. You're gonna have to gauge and see what your team is. Do you have enough talent around them to say, hey, you know what? I can just hold on to you and see if maybe something changes, right? At this point, your value's so low, I might as well just hold and see if something changes. Because for me, I have Pittman and Debo. I'll live with Pittman and Debo, and I have Devontae Smith now. I trade for Devontae Smith, who hasn't been great, but he also hasn't been any worse than Ridley. So who would I rather have? I'd rather have Smith, though. If I could do it, I'd rather have Devontae because he's at least on an offense that can put up numbers, that can move the ball. He might not be the one getting it, but they can do it. I don't know what Trevor Lawrence and don't know what Doug Pearson are trying to do. I have no idea anymore. So
That's fair. That's fair.
You threw out some other names, Saquon being one. I think for fantasy purposes, I'm going to hold Saquon because he wants to be a giant. He wants to play ball. So at least there's that mentality there where he wants to be out there playing, right? But it's just that the offense he's playing for is so awful that I don't know. It's going to be a roller coaster for when he puts up numbers and when he doesn't. It's not if you flipped him and McCaffrey, Saquon would be having the numbers that McCaffrey has, right? Like he'd probably be hurt just like everybody on the 49ers team, but still, when he's out in the field, he'd have the numbers. So what I think a trade could be good for him, absolutely. Could he go somewhere like Philly? Philly's got a decent running back in Swift, but if they got Saquon over in Philly, my goodness. Like
Baltimore.
Yeah. Baltimore could use him, and that would change the game for Baltimore. That would be a huge one. Absolutely. Not that Kansas City needs him, but if Kansas City was there, Vikings, yeah, they could definitely use a running back, but why go from 1-0 contender to another 0 contender? Like, I'm trying to think of what makes sense for both and what he would most likely do, which he's going to have some say and be like, I'm only going to go to contenders, man. Like, I only want to go to someone who's going to contend. So I don't know if it'll work out,
the Bengals is one that can kind of get rolling. The Dallas Cowboys is another that probably could get rolling.
But the question is, are those guys going to rock with the guys that they signed and extended and are working with like Joe Mixon? Like it seems like the Bengals are. I don't know if they're displeased with him or not, but it seems like they're okay with Joe Mixon and just riding with them. Same with the Tony Pollard and the Cowboys. Like it seems like they were willing to let Zeke go on them.
So, and then figured out that Tony Pollard isn't what we thought he was.
Well, I thought that the whole time, but what do I know? Which is why I never drafted him because he's never done anything for a full season. So,
me as well. That's why I didn't draft him too.
Yep.
So are you on the move from some of those guys? Because I have Devontae Adams And like I stated before, he's averaging like 5 points for me in a standard league when I need him to be averaging like 10 or
in
11.
your case, what I would do is I'd wait for one big game and then try to move his butt after that. That's I think that's the thing you gotta wait for. Is you gotta wait for that good game, or for him to get traded and see. But you're gonna have to kind of wait it out because right now the value is so low on Devontae, even with name value. I don't know if you're gonna get confidently like a good 2-for-1 or even a decent 1-for-1 for him, right? Like you're not gonna give up Devontae for Devontae Smith or for Chris Godwin or anybody of that nature, but that's where the value's at right now, So
Yeah,
is that
so
what you want to do?
no, not at all. So I'm thinking that the trade deadline is this week. Fantasy trade deadline is the following
Ours
week.
is in November. Oh yeah, the actual trade deadline. Okay, I see what you're saying. Yep.
The actual trade deadline is this week. The
Yep.
fantasy trade deadline is the following week. So if they don't get a deal done with Devontae Adams, to move him anywhere other than the Raiders, Las Vegas Raiders. I think I'm gonna be on the move from him, man. I think I am. And the crazy thing is I love Devontae Adams. I think he's the best wide receiver in the National Football League right now. When healthy, I think he's the best wide receiver. I think they're just not using him right.
Mm-hmm.
Same with some of those guys that I named, the DJ Moores, the Amari Coopers, these guys, the Derrick Henrys. I'm moving on from some of these big name guys. Depending on what happens and where they are
So for
after this
DJ
trade
Moore,
deadline.
let's cycle back to DJ Moore. You brought up a good one here. I'm not moving on to him until I see what it's like when Fields is back. That one, because if that Fields connection with Moore has improved, I want to wait for that. I want to wait to see. I don't want to see him with the backup. I'm not running away when the backup's there. I'm only going to run when the starter's there, and that's going to determine, okay, do I move or not? Is that connection still there? Are they making plays? Or is Fields back to throwing ducks in the dirt and not getting the ball to Moore, and now he's averaging 4 points, 5 points a game? So,
Well, we know what Fields is going to do. We've seen it time after time.
not the 2 weeks before he was hurt, but hey, what
I
what do I
hope
know?
I hope he's healthy right here and you start him. I dare you to start him.
I will start him gladly. I will drop Stafford, put Fields in, and get going.
He is trash. Trash. I tell you, trash, I tell you.
Nope, I got you, Fields. You get out there,
Did your
man.
garbage
Get
people
back.
come and pick up today? Because I bet you Justin Fields is out there picking up your trash.
No, yeah. That's right. He's picking up the trash, throwing it in your yard, giving you the middle finger, then putting up 40. Hey,
No, he's not. Man, I can't wait for this guy to come back. He's awful. He's an awful football player, man. Awful. And that's
he
all I
is
have to say
not.
about
He
that.
is not an awful football player.
He's
43 and
awful.
38 show differently. If he wasn't hurt in the Minnesota game, it'd be different. So we'll see.
Well,
But yeah, man. There's so many moves to make there. I mean, you mentioned a couple other people too. I can't remember who they were, but
Mike Thomas, Chris Olave.
I'm not worried about Mike Thomas. I didn't invest much in him. It was like 9th or 10th round. I can sit on that. That is what it is, right? After a certain round, I don't care. Like I can drop you, keep you. It makes no difference. Like you're basically at round 8 or later, you're most likely some bye week fill-in person. So what do I care? I draft you to fill in for the people I actually want to start.
I tell you one name that's floating around out there that I would love to see get traded in real football life, and then maybe his stock in fantasy goes up is Gabe Davis. I think he's a really good receiver, but one target for 3 yards in a loss at that to the New England Patriots. I don't like that Josh Allen is Stephon Diggs or nothing. And I said it before. He
Because
holds
Stephon
on to
Diggs cries if he doesn't get all that. So I don't like it's the thing, man. It's like he has to be the center of attention, even though he has very good, talented people. And Stephon Diggs is a great player, but you need to learn to be a team player. It's not just about what you get for catches. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, and then like I said, Josh Allen is always holding on to the ball too long. He's running around back there, running, holding on to the ball. And it's just like, dude, get rid of the ball, brother.
Yep. I agree. Well, we got a little bit of time left here. Let's run through some waiver wires real quick. Some people that you should probably aim for if you are in need. Now, again, it's week 8 and there's not a lot of bye weeks, but there are some names that maybe you can pick up for handcuff. Like Tajay Spears for the Tennessee Titans. Some of them, if you have Derrick Henry, somebody that's good to pick up. He's 42% owned. Daryl Henderson, who could be the guy for a little bit of time here in LA if Kyrie Williams is down, 25% owned. And then there was, Josh Downs, who's like 36% owned in Yahoo leagues. So, some good guys there that can go. He was 5 for 125 with a touchdown this last week. So when you talk about Gardner Minshew, all that stuff with in Indianapolis, like that's where most of the yards went. So didn't help Pittman that much.
Hey.
But Josh Downs is the real deal, and I like Alec Pierce, but I'm sorry, bro, you got supplanted quickly.
Yeah, hey man, I actually picked up Josh Downs in a couple leagues, and
good for you.
He was sitting on my bench this last week, but I guess what? He gonna be starting next week for sure. Yeah. He will be starting for me next week for sure.
And a quick stash for everybody. Kyler Murray, if he's still on your waivers, he's 42% owned, so that means he's out there in leagues. Stash him, see what happens. I stash him in a couple of leagues to see what comes out of it.
That's fair.
Yep. Anybody you got, or you good?
I'm good. I don't have anybody, man. You covered it all for me.
Yep. I just rattled off the names that I know of people that I'm looking at and got my eye on for waiver wires if they're available in any league. So very good. Hey guys, we appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Letting us banter about our leagues. Letting us talk about what's going on in the league. It's a nice mixed bag of what we have going on in our world. That we like to be transparent about that and open about what we have in the leagues that we have shared in, because it's lets you hear from our perspective what we do given the situations that we have with our teams, that maybe that will reflect on your guys' team in some way, shape, or form. Antoine with Devontae Adams issues, me trying to climb my way back into the playoff race at 2-5. So what I'm trying to do to make moves there, all that kind of stuff could be possibly useful to you too. So we want to share some of that with you at the beginning of our shows.
Man, I'm getting dark. My screen's getting dark over here.
That means it's time to go, man. That means it's time to go.
Yeah, it's time to go.
Yep, peace. That's it. We appreciate you guys from the Legendary Sports Podcast. We'll see you on the next episode. We out.
Peace.